Oh, you could have been a good girl, but instead you chose the real world. Yeah, you've always been a savage. Oh, you've always been a bad chick. I don't care if you got issues.
At a high school in Japan, 3 bullies are messing with another student. This boy's name is Baki, and he has wounds all over his body. The 3 bullies kept threatening Baki, but that didn't worry him. On the contrary, they are showing panic after seeing Baki's murderous eyes, so they stop provoking him. Old Man Tokugawa is the one who specializes in organizing battles in an underground arena in the city. He came here to inform Baki that the world is going through great changes at the same time. Notorious prisoners are on their way here, and surely their purpose is to hunt people with strong fighting abilities. Baki was once a champion in Tokugawa's underground tournament, so he will become the first target of those criminals. At the Argathos prison in the United States, Dorian is a death row inmate about to be executed for his crimes. He is one of the most dangerous criminals in America. Before he is executed, he aggressively says that he wishes he would be defeated, even just once. The officers watch him with very tense and frightened expressions. The doctor approaches to confirm after 10 minutes of being hanged to make sure he was dead. But the near impossible happened that night. Dorian wakes up and breaks the chains with his muscular body. The guards are killed one by one. Before leaving, Dorian leaves information about where he is going. It is Tokyo, at Kario's prison in England. A prisoner named Doyle is sitting in an electric chair waiting for the death sentence. An officer turns on the switch to activate the chair's electricity. However, once again, the chains that bound the prisoner were broken. The room becomes the place where soldiers and guards are massacred. When Doyle takes off the blindfold, the soldiers are all neatly killed by him. He also prepares his private jet to go to Tokyo. A prison in Russia was renovated from an old nuclear missile bunker during the Second World War. No one has been able to escape the prison because of these slippery walls with a height of more than 100 meters. Sikorsky is the only criminal who can climb this wall with his bare hands. Before Sikorsky set off for Tokyo, he destroyed Russia's strongest warrior. His fighting ability is beyond the imagination of the Russian army. Meanwhile, Spek has escaped from a prison that was 200 meters below the sea. He has the ability to hold his breath for more than 10 minutes, which is something the guards could not expect. Another death row inmate, named Yanagi, broke a bulletproof glass to escape. The guards also could not escape death before his terrible strength. The 5 most dangerous criminals in the world all head to Tokyo at the same time. Their purpose in coming to Japan is nothing but to find a worthy opponent. A martial artist famous for punching and kicking is suddenly blocked by Doyle, who challenges him to a duel. Doyle immediately delivered a vicious blow, tearing Robinson's neck. The 3 school bullies from last time are looking for some thugs to ask them to teach Baki a lesson. They perform some weapon control skills that surprise the bullies. Of course, Baki doesn't hesitate to face these thugs. The man in purple pulls a knife from his pants and plans to attack Baki, but he suddenly stops out of fear. The thug in pink sees this and attacks Baki from a distance with an iron ball, dancing with his weapon until it injures him. The man in black takes out his knife and shows off his skillful knife control, but his knife is immediately stolen by Baki. The bully couldn't stand this humiliation and pulls out a gun to kill Baki, but Baki only notices the man behind him. At this time, at the police headquarters, a meeting is taking place regarding dangerous foreign criminals who have just arrived in Tokyo. One of them had appeared and crushed a police car in the city with his bare hands. The people around couldn't believe that someone in this world could do such a crazy thing. That man is Spek, who is standing behind the gun-wielding bully. Spek borrows his gun and shoots himself in the cheek, scaring the bully into peeing his pants. Spek's purpose here is to find Baki, who is the champion in the underground tournament. Baki just shakes hands with him when his hand falls to the ground, making Baki panic. While Baki doesn't know what happened, he is punched in the chest by him. People around him witness Spek's brutality and call the police. When the police arrive, he still calmly approaches Baki and says that this is just a greeting to him before being taken to a prison in Japan. Yujiro, who is known as the strongest creature on the planet, is excited to hear that strong opponents have arrived in Japan. The criminal Yanagi goes to see Shibukawa, who was defeated by Yanagi before. This time, it seems to be a similar ending for Shibukawa. He will almost die if Yanagi doesn't hold back in the final attack. In the prison, Spek blatantly roams freely, like at home. He stands next to the head of the police station in the restroom, which scares him. Not only that, he also offers the officer the dumplings that he has just bought from outside. The officer kicks his crotch, but it doesn't work. Speck smiles and asks the officer to accept his kindness by eating these dumplings. The guards are also unable to stop Speck's strength. At Shinchinkai Dojo, Katsumi is having a duel with Ritsu. Both are martial arts experts who have been invited to participate in the underground tournament. The criminal Dorian comes to this place and, without hesitation, interferes in the match to challenge Katsumi. Dorian can use everything around him as a weapon. He threw a pair of shoes at Katsumi to get his attention and attack him suddenly. The wooden floorboards can also become Dorian's weapons, making Katsumi unsuspecting and seriously injured. However, his despicable attacks could not escape Ritsu's eyes. When the situation turns unfavorable, Dorian takes a sip of wine and uses a lighter to blow the flame at Ritsu. This situation sends everyone in the dojo into chaos, while Dorian quickly leaves. Today at the school, there are physical tests. Baki is so strong that it shocks the students. He pulled the bar until it was broken. Not only that, he easily breaks the world record in the 100-meter run. Igari is a famous wrestler in Japan. He is having dinner with Takugawa and the national judo tournament champion, Teitoka. Teitoka is also invited to the upcoming underground tournament to face criminals. Suddenly, Sikorsky appears and puts the dishes on Teitoka's head as a challenge. Before Teitoka could react, his hands were locked with 2 knives. Sikorsky punches Teitoka in the face twice, causing his face to disfigure and fall to the floor. When the ambulance arrives, Teitoka's life is in a critical state. Igari wants to avenge his friend, but he gets an ending like Teitoka. His face is also disfigured after being kicked in the face by Sikorsky. Fortunately, the ambulance hasn't left yet, so he is also taken to the hospital in time. Along with Teitoka, Speck left the prison by destroying the iron bars with the message that he was out for a bit, and promised that he would return soon. That night, Tokugawa and 5 dangerous criminals met in an arena without any prior appointment. The 5 of them don't know each other, but they are ready to participate in this underground tournament. Baki and the other warriors also came. They were the 5 strongest fighters in Tokugawa's underground tournament last time. Orochi Dappo, known as the God of War, is the founder of the Shinchinkai Dojo and also Katsumi's father. Hanayama is a young man with a muscular body, the boss of a notorious gangster in Japan. These 2 have defeated most of their opponents in Takugawa's underground tournament. Of course, the person who won the championship that year was Baki. These warriors will be the ones who can help the prisoners experience defeat. Soon after, an underground tournament is held specifically for 10 people, divided into 2 opposing groups. Starting from this point, they can start a fight anywhere, anytime, against any opponent they want, until the last person standing is the champion. When Orochi left, he chose his opponent, Dorian. However, Ritsu also wants to start a battle with Dorian to get revenge on him for disrupting his dojo. But it seems Orochi doesn't want to give Dorian to Ritsu. Dorian takes a sip of wine and uses a lighter to burn Orochi, but it doesn't work on the legendary karate master. After Igari is defeated, he brings his comrades to take revenge on Sikorsky. Sikorsky is successfully subdued by 2 of Igari's underlings, but it seems Sikorsky is deliberately losing to make the fun more interesting. Orochi's hand was now cut by a wire, controlled by Dorian. Since the beginning of time, humans have always sought and created faster, stronger, and lighter weapons. The wire is what gathers all those advantages without anyone noticing. With its extremely thin size, the wire will make the opponent unnoticeable and fall into the trap like a spider's web. Despite having lost a hand, Orochi still doesn't seem to want to retreat. He still uses his arm to punch Dorian in the face and leaves when the opponent falls to the ground. At this point, Sikorsky begins to demonstrate his brutal attack. 2 of Igari's underlings are quickly knocked down with extremely serious injuries. Igari kneels down and begs Sikorsky for his life, but Sikorsky doesn't seem satisfied. Sikorsky throws weights at Igari and tortures him until he loses consciousness. Kazue is Baki's girlfriend, and the 2 often have romantic dates together. While dating, they are disturbed by some thugs. One of them puts his hand on Baki's shoulder menacingly, while the other 3 are using weapons to threaten Baki. Baki grabs his hand, throws him away like garbage, and quickly deals with the rest. In the evening, when Baki and his girlfriend are walking in a park, Speck is silently watching them. While Baki is kissing his girlfriend, Speck appears from behind and launches an attack at both, but is stopped by Hanayama. Hanayama is a gang boss, so he has a traditional clan tattoo. But that's still not the whole story about this tattoo. In the past, Hanayama had defeated a big gang alone. His body is covered with scars from their slashes. That is the condition for his tattoo to be more complete. Back to the present, Speck feels much more excited after knowing that in front of him is a strong opponent. He frantically rushes to attack Hanayama, but Hanayama doesn't resist and stands still, receiving Speck's attack. However, Hanayama's gaze remains steadfast, even though he is bleeding. In the past, Speck has destroyed the Statue of Liberty with his bare hands. The destructive strength of Speck's fist can destroy anything beyond imagination. Normally, when we want to use all the strength of our body, we need to hold our breath to increase our strength in a short period of time. Just like martial artists throwing punches, they need to hold their breath in order for the punches to get stronger. Speck has the ability to hold his breath for up to 10 minutes underwater, so he continuously unleashes powerful punches that Hanayama could only defend. Is that the full strength of Speck? A group of commandos, equipped with the most modern weapons to suppress criminals, had been sent here by the Japanese police to subdue Speck as he roamed freely in the prison. But the result did not change. The group of commandos were unable to stop the strength of this monster. Speck destroyed everything that stands in his way like a destructive machine. Hanayama is likened to a tank that can stop this destructive machine. He throws a punch to hit Speck back. This is a worthy opponent that Speck is looking for. Suddenly, Speck takes out the bullets, stuffs them into Hanayama's mouth, and causes them to explode. After an explosion, Hanayama's face is severely injured, but it doesn't seem to have dampened Hanayama's will to fight. He continues to punish the criminal Speck and then takes him to the police station. The fight is still not over. When Hanayama gets in the car, Speck lifts it up, causing it to overturn. Hanayama crawls out of the car at a disadvantage. He is brutally attacked by Speck. He also uses a police gun to damage Hanayama's knees. Then there is the horrible torture scene that shocks everyone watching. But that's what always happens in the Battle of Monsters. That still couldn't make Hanayama fall. The bloody battle between the two continues. The two fight fiercely on the ground. Speck uses a stun grenade that makes Hanayama unable to see his surroundings. Taking this opportunity, he moves to Hanayama's back and locks his neck. With Speck's strength, no one can escape this chokehold. However, Hanayama still has a mysterious weapon, which is his fingers. The power of Hanayama's fingers can crush even iron. Speck's arm is crushed by Hanayama's fingers. At this point, the battle is over. After Speck is taken to the hospital, his body is amazingly transformed. When looking at Speck's body, no one would believe he was 97 years old. His thirst for defeat gave him powers beyond imagination. But after being defeated by Hanayama, he lost the will to fight to maintain that body. The teacher is telling Baki to focus on his studies instead of physical training. He tells Baki that no matter how fast you are, you can't be faster than a motorcycle. No matter how strong you are, you can't jump from the 3rd floor to the ground. Before the teacher can finish his sentence, the criminal Doyle jumps from the ground into Baki's classroom. He throws the teacher aside and rescues Baki from this boring class. Baki reacts in time before Doyle charges at him. Doyle is very interested in Baki because he can keep up with his speed. Baki is afraid that the battle will affect his classmates, so he runs away. But Baki's battle doesn't stop. He is suddenly attacked from behind by someone. The criminal Yanagi is his next opponent. In his hand is a fearsome weapon, which ninjas have often used for assassinations since time immemorial. The normal human eye cannot follow the speed of this weapon, especially when it is used by Yanagi. He can change the distance and speed of the attack very flexibly at will. Shibikawa suddenly appears and joins in their battle. Although Shibikawa is quite old, his jutsu is well suited to counter Yanagi's attacks that knock him down. This makes Yanagi extremely angry. He jumps up and rushes to Shibugawa, injuring him seriously. Shibugawa uses his blood to blind Yanagi and cooperates with Baki to attack, injuring Yanagi. However, Yanagi still has a trump card in the worst case scenario. He is not a martial artist who uses hidden weapons or hides weapons. Poison is his true weapon. He is known as Yanagi the Poisoner. The true battle now begins. Baki is attracted to the power emanating from Yanagi, causing him to receive an attack from him. The attack seems simple, but it instantly knocks Baki unconscious. Humans can hold their breath for several minutes, but just inhaling an amount of air with an oxygen content lower than 6% will cause them to pass out. Yanagi studied this technique during his time in prison. The power of his palm can destroy thick concrete walls, let alone a human body. Baki completely lost the match against Yanagi. The next morning, everyone gathers at Tokugawa's house to discuss how to deal with the criminals. The meeting was not over when Dorian suddenly appeared. He defeated all the guards outside before entering the room. He is carrying a bucket of gasoline with the intention of setting fire to this place. Katsumi also came here to join the fun. He still hasn't forgotten his own last feud with Dorian. Katsumi quickly kicks Dorian's lighter and the bucket of gasoline at him. This is the consequence of coming to cause trouble in someone else's dojo. Dorian is engulfed in flames in front of everyone, leaving him severely injured with burns. However, Dorian is still able to get up as if nothing had happened. Kato is a disciple of the Shinshinkai dojo. He comes here to find the guy who once disrupted his master's dojo. Kato rushes to attack Dorian. Then Orochi also joins in the fun. Kato also uses the wire as a weapon, just like Dorian did. This time, Dorian loses an ear from the same weapon he used. The masters seem to want to vent their anger on Dorian. However, Dorian deliberately endures their beatings so that he can trap Katsumi and Kato with his wires. He pulls on the wire with great force, intending to finish them off. But Orochi uses his hand to cut Dorian's wires. Seeing the disadvantageous situation, Doria takes out a grenade from his mouth. The explosion caused the house to be almost completely destroyed. Luckily, everyone left quickly before it was too late. Dorian then returns to his base to recuperate. However, Kato secretly followed him to this place. He wants to end all his grudges with Dorian here. The situation completely changed when Kato entered Dorian's playground. Dorian dips his hand in a sticky liquid and then picks up shards of glass from the floor. The sticky liquid and the shards of glass combine into a spiky fist. This is Dorian's secret weapon. Kato tries to attack Dorian, but he only receives wounds from shards of glass. Even Kato tried disabling Dorian with his blood but couldn't reach him. He takes off his coat and is determined to live or die in this battle. However, every attempt at Kato's attack is easily blocked by Dorian. The more Kato attacks, the more wounds he gets. Although his body is pinned with glass shards, Kato still fights to the end. At this point, he successfully kicks Dorian's crotch, causing him pain, and begs Kato to spare his life. However, all of those are illusions created by Dorian. Now Kato is fighting the illusions that he is imagining. Not Dorian at all. Dorian delivers the final blow to end this battle. The next day, while Ritsu is practicing martial arts, he feels something inside the sandbag of the dojo. He cuts the sandbag and sees Kato inside. Kato is immediately taken to the hospital for treatment. This causes outrage among all members of the Shinshinkai dojo, and it will be an insult not to pay the feud back. An order to arrest Dorian is issued to all the students of the Shinshinkai dojo. Very quickly, they found Dorian's location. Dorian also has no intention of running away and yielding to their will. They take him to a nearby amusement park. Those who are waiting in the park will play with Dorian. Here, Dorian faced an opponent whose weight was equal to his. The strength of this muscle mass is too terrible. The force of his attacks causes the opponent to collapse instantly if they take a direct punch. Seeing the unfavorable situation, Dorian lures his opponent to the roller coaster game area. They're going to have a battle on this roller coaster. The man did not calm down and fell into Dorian's trap. Dorian appears from behind and locks the man's neck. The balance on the roller coaster is constantly shifting, making it impossible for the man to escape Dorian's chokehold. But the roller coaster makes a sudden turn, saving the man from danger. There is still a very long road ahead, and the speed of the roller coaster is getting faster and faster. Acceleration and gravity are constantly changing. The man needs to think of a way to be ready to fight Dorian's next attack. He remembers that he was once taught a traditional stance by Orochi, which martial artists use to fight on boats. Although the man is able to keep his balance on the roller coaster, it is still not enough to be able to confront a villain like Dorian. Dorian rushes to hug the man and falls with him from the roller coaster. However, Dorian is still able to get up after that fall. The steel wires he had prepared helped him reduce the force of his fall in the final seconds before hitting the ground. Witnessing this, Ritsu, Katsumi, and Orochi simultaneously appear to punish this evil man. But suddenly Dorian calls Ritsu brother. It turned out that Ritsu came from a place considered the home of Chinese martial arts, the Shaolin Temple. The title of Kyo was given to someone whose strength surpassed the rest of the disciples. There was a mysterious story about a legendary Kyo who came from the west. His strength could dig a tunnel through a mountain in just one night, and that legendary Kyo is Dorian. This situation prevents Ritsu from joining in the battle with Orochi and Katsumi because at the Shaolin Temple, there is a rule that disciples are not to fight each other, so everything has to be left to the people of the Shinshinkai dojo. Orochi was injured in the previous battle, but he is determined to avenge his lost arm. At the beginning of the battle, Orochi continuously launches many kicks at Dorian. His left arm was also reattached after that match. Not only that, it became stronger than before. After that match, Orochi went to his friend's clinic nearby. He got there in time before he lost consciousness. The battle is going in a one-way favor for Orochi. Dorian's attacks are all overpowered by Orochi and cause Dorian a lot of trouble. However, Dorian was once a legendary Kaio after all, and he suddenly performs kata, an exercise used to relax the muscles. Orochi tries to throw a stone at him. Dorian immediately catches the stone and crushes it to dust. He blows rock dust into Orochi's face, causing him to lose his vision. However, Orochi is still able to grab him and launch attacks that hit the target, severely wounding Dorian. Dorian once again begs for his life as the match situation turns unfavorable. That is also when the hallucinations appear before Orochi's eyes, just like Kato's before. Now Orochi is just fighting Dorian in his imagination. Dorian believes it will end as easily as when he confronted Kato. However, Dorian's attack is suddenly blocked by Orochi. Not only that, Orochi turns around and attacks Dorian, causing him to fall. Orochi's extensive combat experience has awakened him to the fact that no battle is ever easy. He soon realizes it's all an illusion and wakes himself up. All of Dorian's attacks are now completely blocked. No matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't touch Orochi. Dorian struggled to throw out the last cards, but it still didn't work. Dorian's arm is completely destroyed by Orochi's kick. His powerful punches break Dorian's spine. His legs are also destroyed after just one kick from Orochi. Defeat is coming very close, exactly what Dorian once aspired to. At this point, Dorian is really scared and bursts into tears. Kato was suddenly brought here to be the one to finish this match. Although he has numerous wounds on his body, the doctor also diagnosed that Kato is in a coma. But Kato is still able to stand up. Anger and a will for vengeance are driving his body to move. That's something that even science can't explain. Dorian is like a child begging for a last chance to live. But those things are in Dorian's plan. When Dorian was taken to the hospital, the doctor found something implanted in his hand. According to the picture, they guess it is a mini bomb. It can explode if it hits the wrist bone hard. It is as if this is his secret weapon. Orochi returns home and finds everything messed up. While angry, he is suddenly attacked by Dorian. The mini bomb in his hand explodes as it hits Orochi's face hard. Orochi is so badly injured that he can't move. Now that things had gone too far, Ritsu couldn't stand it any longer. Ritsu unleashes a punch that contains all the rage he has endured all this time. Dorian, after receiving Ritsu's punch, causes his mind to become unstable. Defeating for the first time in his life causes Dorian to lose his current self. He becomes a child with no clear perception. Sikorsky watched and knew about the special relationship between Baki and Kazue. He breaks into Kazue's house to prepare a plot. Just as Sikorsky is about to attack Kazue, Baki promptly breaks the door and kicks him out. Dare to touch the girl of the main character, the ending will not be good. Baki takes out all his rage on Sikorsky. However, Sikorsky escapes in time and takes Kazue with him, while Baki is engulfed in rage. Meanwhile, an emergency government meeting is discussing how to deal with escaped prisoners. Since they arrived in Japan, many murders have occurred in succession. Not even the elite police force could stop them. A senior official offers to borrow the power of other prisoners to deal with them. He learns that a notorious prisoner is being held in an Arizona prison and thinks that the prisoner is the only one who can stop them. The commissioner of the Japanese police department, Morio Sonoda, has personally gone to the United States to escort that particular prisoner to Japan. The door to this prisoner's room is very luxurious. No one would have imagined this to be a prisoner's residence. In front of Morio is a giant monster named Oliva. Officers at the Arizona prison used Oliva's power to catch criminals the government couldn't deal with. That's why Oliva was given everything he wanted by the government, even though he was a prisoner. There is a big murder case going on in the city right now. Morio also follows to see how Oliva catches the criminals. The killer who is hiding in the building also wants to find Oliva to take revenge. The killer immediately opens fire on Oliva, but surprisingly, not even the bullets could penetrate Oliva's hard muscles. Oliva throws the killer out of the building and knocks him unconscious.